Good evening, Goodman Games fans. My name is Matt Robertson, otherwise known as Grape Ape, and of course, I'm joined by my awesome co-host,
Stefan Straught, also known as DM Bad Wrong Fun.
Stefan. We've got a very special episode. I am broadcasting live from the Gygaxian, one of the Gygaxian manors, Dragonland's home base itself, home of Ernest Gygax Jr. He was gracious enough to let us in our house with Chuck Cumbo. Ernie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, yes, I'm Ernest Gary Gygax Jr. All my friends call me Ernie. This is a home filled with friendly pets and non-friendly monsters.
And and this kind of a camera-breaking ugly fellow next to him,
Thank you.
Chuck Cumbo from Troll Lord Games.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Chuck Cumbo. I'm the community director for Troller Games, and I basically just kind of assist Matt as he gets through life.
A little cross promotion going on. Chuck wants to try to steal our secrets.
Yes, well.
But Stefan, we also have two amazing guests, regularly scheduled guests. These two are unscheduled. But who do we got with us tonight?
Oh, we got Mr. King Mob, aka Sean Smith.
Hey guys, good to be here.
Hey, Sean.
Sean, creator of the DCC Legacy rules, so creator of the DCC organized play, and main contributor to the X Crawl. Is that correct, Sean?
Well, I'm not a contributor, but I'm a big supporter. And one day, we've got some Kickstarters that'll come once the game launches that we're pretty proud of.
And then we also have another special guest, Stefan. Who else is joining us?
Joe Aberano, who might be slightly off on that pronunciation there, but he is a wonderful artist, and I think we should be dropping some links in chat, or they'll be on the the little thingy in YouTube eventually when we get there.
Joe, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so the big art I've done for Goodman Games that people might have seen is I took second place in the sticker design contest, and so that was it's with an isometric DCC kind of icon that I did, and then they brought me on. I've been doing freelance for Goodman Games for a little bit over a year now, and currently working on a Mutant Crawl Classics illustration, which is my first full pager. So pretty happy about that. Yeah, pretty fun.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Stefan, fans, I've already yelled at Sean for bringing on a guest who has a longer beard than me, which is no. But now we also learned that he's the second place winner who beat my third place. I mean, just to rub salt into the wound.
Joe was robbed.
You're gonna get yourself replaced,
Matt. Knocked
Matt.
out the "Hey Mom, what's a Chaos Lord?" But anyway, this whole episode is all about DCC Legacy and organized play. We are going to do a little tiny show and tell, just a couple minutes here, since we are in the Gygax mansion. I'm going to go mobile here for a second. Here's Ernie's amazing just collection of miniatures.
Wow. Jealous.
In a gorgeous case.
nice.
Gotta keep an eye on those guys, Ernie. There might be a couple missing when they leave.
That is a whole lot.
Check those pockets.
He left me and
Let
Chuck
him in.
unsupervised for a few minutes, and who knows what's still here.
They gained 20 pounds.
The tires are a little low on the car.
We've got some just gorgeous art here. We've got two original boxes. Just
Titan.
an original Titan, the Monster Slugathon.
Once you invite those guys in, that's it.
My father.
You can't uninvite them.
And then over in one of the other cases, some of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon. I tried to take the lunchbox, but the alarm on the thing went off, and I had to make up an excuse like, "Oh no, yeah, I accidentally bumped into it." And then there on the map, the wall is the gorgeous
Lost.
the Lost Lands of Gaxmore,
Lost City of Gaxmore.
Lost City of Gaxmore, by Alyssa Faden.
Well, she's the one who did the map of the city, but the city already existed. And this is the third printing of it. This was a 5th edition version, and it was first done 3.0, and then later was done as Castles and Crusades. We never did it as a DCC yet. Because it was originally written to be first edition. So, I mean, would that be an easy crossover?
I think so. I mean, that sounds like a marriage right there. DCC version of the Lost City of Gaxmore, Stefan. Are you hearing what I'm hearing?
All right. Well, when I get in charge of the OAR product line, we'll see. I don't know if that's even a possibility. I'd bet not. I've got no official standing there.
Well, let's dive into one of our first questions. And our first question for you, Sean, is as creator of the DCC Legacy rules, what inspired you to create these? Like, did you see something that was missing, and you just wanted to? Well, tell us about it. How did you come up with this?
Well, I think when COVID rolled in and we were all getting kind of locked in, there seemed to be a big spike in online gaming, and I was noticing like more and more new players kind of coming to the game, and there was always kind of like the next question was like, oh, what's next? What's next? Or we played our funnel, like what's next? And having been a living campaign administrator for Living Greyhawk back in the day for Kaeland, during Living Greyhawk, I understood like how it could work and how it couldn't work. And with Dungeon Crawl Classics, I knew it had to be informal. Like we're just a bunch of bandits and reavers, and it can't be rules heavy. It's got to be rules light. So, with that in mind, we came up with kind of like a 2-page. I really think it's like 2 pages of rules, right, Joe? And then a couple pages of experience. And it was really like, all right, let's make the codified rules about the experience points that a GM can reward as like a guide. And then let's have a rule where if your character dies, you can kind of come back at level 1 so you don't get left behind by your buddies when you play. And it was very, very simple kind of rule setting. The power is in the hands of the judge. And if you're new to the game, this gives you kind of a nice in to give you a base set of rules where you can have a campaign setting, for DCC, have you and your friends play, go to a convention and bring your character with you and play at another table, which is part of the fun of the living campaign, is that shared world where your character could go and travel with other people and gain experience and play together, as a friendly group. So Joe and I came up with a convention early in COVID called ReaverCon that we ran, and we had great turnout. And we kind of launched Legacy at that convention, the idea that your character could play the con and level up and play with different GMs, play with different players, but kind of have this base guideline of rules, which the living campaigns of UR gave us. So that was kind of that was part of the inspiration.
Well, and I've had a lot of people. I mean, usually a lot of people that are new to DCC ask, well, isn't it just about one shots? They really don't see a campaign future in Dungeon Crawl Classics. The perception out there is that it's just a lot of one shot adventures. Ernie, when they were making the modules coming up for Dungeons and Dragons stuff, how much did the connectivity of the modules come into play for like campaign?
They used Tensor to start with and Robilar, so it did count as experience points, and it also was dangerous enough that in 2 different situations I bailed out. I bailed out of the Tomb of Horrors in the middle, and I took off after D2. So I did the whole Giants and went through D1. But once I started seeing that those crossbow bolts with the sleep poison is a -4 on your saving throw, I said, to hell with this. I'm a single character with only a single lackey, and I've put in already several years into this character. I'm not going to lose him. So I said it's not that important to me. I'm a guy that basically goes around grabbing loot and doing some good deeds on the side as a lark.
Try get the GTFO out of that dungeon. I can understand that with 2 more. Chuck, you just started Endless Worlds not too long ago. How is that going? And
It's going all right. We're still. It's not completely public. We're just still testing it, and I'm developing the system.
so I shouldn't have said anything.
No, it's okay. I mean, tell everybody. It's great. Whatever. But it's just a organized play system I've been working on for a long time, and then the company decided to say, okay, we'll do it. So it was kind of cool. So I've been working on it, and it's basically just we're just trying some different sandboxy kind of stuff. We're trying to be a little different from everybody else. That way, it doesn't feel like it's the same old thing. But it's doing all right. We shoot. When I first came to work at the company, we'd have like 10 or 15 games at GaryCon, for example. Last year we had 34, and this year we've got 70, almost 80 events. So and we're still just testing it out because, well, it's a lot of work. And as you can know, and imagine Sean knows, it's a lot of work. So we're still trying to figure it out. So, yeah.
So, Sean, have you heard anything about the crossover from any players at all? I know you're on the Discords and you see questions asked from the fans and stuff. But going into question number 2, are spells, magic items, patrons, deities from any Goodman Games module fair game to have in Legacy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's they put it out. It's part of the fun, and that's again, this is almost like the anti 5th edition Living campaign where we were like, let's embrace the fun. Let's make it the judges make the decisions and the players do what's right for your table. Fun first, rule of cool, informal. But the rules are codified more for the experience points. If I've got a plasma rifle from Mutant Crawl Classics and I'm rolling into your level 2 module as a judge, you can decide, that plasma rifle is not going to play. It doesn't work this game. I'm not taking it away from you. I'm not destroying it. I'm not penalizing you in the future. But in this situation, as a GM, that's going to unbalance my game. It just doesn't work today. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
And
It
you
just
have
gets
the conversation.
sidelined.
And you're adults and you have the conversation ahead of time. So no one's like throwing paper. Oh, do you mean I can't bring my magic van into this module? That magic van is fair game. There is a module van on the run, and I've got a player Legacy who's got that sucker and he's driving it around in adventures.
Well, I mean, that's like the that's like the Vorpal sword back in the day. You take
God
your
bless
character
him.
over to somebody else's house and you'd be like, yeah, I got a Vorpal sword, and they'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Not for long, and I take it from you. Yeah. So, I think just make sure that players understand balance. They want to have fun. Nobody wants to steamroll a module or a GM. I hope. Sure.
Go ahead, Ernie.
That's great.
That
Within reason.
sadly is not the case with a lot of games, and that's why, at least so far, I've never been able to allow people to bring their characters unless I look at the characters very carefully and then say, can I have the number of your judge in case I kill you? Or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
and,
So
you know,
in Legacy,
you've
for
got a
instance,
tracking sheet, right?
yeah. So in Legacy, for instance, you got a tracking sheet. You got the GM. Well, you probably can't hold it up. The tracking sheet has the GM's email on it.
All right.
And you look at the guy's character and you say, hey, you're riding a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's cool. You can use him for a mount, but he's not eating anybody in this mod. Like, he's not attacking, or he eats everybody, So
Your
play
T-Rex
with
is sick.
him.
He's got to lay down for a while.
And
He'll
Joe,
be better
do
with the
you-
next adventure you play, probably.
Joe, do you run Legacy games, or are you mostly a player? Are you a judge?
Me?
I'm
Joe,
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah, currently I'm mostly a player, but it is in my plans to start running more because as an artist for Goodman Games, you get artist copies. So all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff, and it's like stuff I love anyway. Like now I just got to find the time. So
Have you taken any of your characters and moved from one judge to another and kind of used the advantage of the legacy system?
I haven't yet. So
Stefan,
just,
you've judged many legacy games.
Yeah.
I'm running one now. There's someone just couple back on Friday. It was actually just on Friday. Ran a Legacy level 1 game, and someone was like, "Hey, I got this wizard from another game I ran. I drank some weird stuff in that first adventure, so their intelligence is 20 instead of the normal max." And I was like, you know what? Sure, that's just an extra +1 to things. It's gonna be all right. You're still gonna roll poorly, and I'm gonna get my kicks too. And I sure did. And everything was fine.
I will say with Dungeon Crawl Classics, I find that even if characters are bringing items in from other modules, it really doesn't make them that overpowered. Like Dungeon Crawl Classics is still so deadly that it really doesn't matter what you have, you could still die like that.
It's more about being clever than having high numbers.
Take a look at their luck, right? Take a look at their
levels
luck
can-
at level 2.
Anything can happen in DCC. So if the judge puts it in there that levels can be lost, I don't think we necessarily have any monsters that have a level takeaway draining as their attack.
Yeah, it's
But we
not
do
not
have
not a
two-
But they
DCC
damage the
thing.
stats, the
Yeah,
ability
we
scores.
do have it's stat damage, stamina damage, stuff like that. Agility makes them slower.
Do you recover, or is it gone forever like a good level drain?
It recovers at
Yeah,
one point a
recovers.
day, usually in most cases. Some of it is permanent.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the way that Legacy works is that we assume that enough time passes between adventures, as long as you can get out alive, at the next adventure you've reset, you've rested enough to get your stats back, so that you can kind of roll in. But the trick is getting out alive. It's the most dangerous game on the planet, as far as I'm concerned.
It is.
DCC is the most dangerous game I've ever played in. It is brutal.
I
And
mean, I love fighting
when their luck goes
world-ending.
down.
I can
Yeah.
sense Ernie has got some arguments there.
I'm not arguments.
No, yeah, I mean different point of view. I was just playing.
Not a lot of raised dead spells in Dungeon Crawl Classic. Let's put
No.
it that way.
And you don't even get a full
there
level
shouldn't
before you
be that.
hiding.
That's supposed to
100 foot
cost like a major magic item, even in the original D&D game.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be something where everybody goes, "Oh no, a staff of power or some horrible thing like that."
Apparently, you've been asleep during 5th edition because it falls on trees now. Go to bed.
Yeah.
It falls on deaf ears.
Death ears.
Sean, our next question is: you spoke a little bit about experience points and how that's kind of the basis of Legacy. You get the experience points. We've got a lot of questions because there's so much content coming out. There's so much third-party content, and a lot of people are questioning. Well, I don't see this in the Legacy rules. Do I still get credit for this? What's the kind of the guidelines on that area?
So we do have a section in the rules. Maybe people might be missing it, where we do say third-party experience gives this amount based on
I
what
believe it's
level
just
the game is.
there's a suggested amount. Like I'm looking at it on one of my screens now. First level modules typically get 25 experience points. There's some ones that get 12 because they're like a free RPG day one that's really short.
Yeah, exactly. So we did account for third party. I can't read every single third party ever put out ever. And I mean, if they want to submit it to me, cool. I'm happy to read it and and add it to the list. But otherwise, I have kind of a catch-all in the rules that has a basis based on the level of the third party adventure. Yeah, play the third party, get experience. It's not as much as you get from a Goodman Games
I believe it's
adventure,
half.
but it's about half, and you still get to have fun, and it can count. And again, rule of cool, right? If that module's cool and you want to play it, hey, let's give you the experience for it. There's no reason to not.
And you can probably keep the loot from it, and use the
You get
loot.
the loot, you get the magic items, and if there's an atomic bomb given at the end of the module, and you roll into a judge with that atomic bomb, because where'd you get that from? Oh, I got it from this third-party weird game you've never heard of. Your atomic bomb doesn't work today, at my table. It goes back to the judge. Judge makes the decision.
Everybody. So Ernie and DCC experience points are given out kind of by rating the challenge of the encounter. So like even if you go to like a bar and talk to a bartender and there's role playing experience in there, that could be worth 1 experience point, right? So
Right.
it's about how many resources they use. If they're fighting a big boss, and 2 people, almost die and 1 person does, and they spent all their magic items, that's a 4-pointer.
Gotcha.
So it's a basis on 1 to 4.
What's leveling up? Is it a constant, or is it a doubling? Or
It's constant. So it's 10, 51, 110, and then 200 something.
It's got a real
Very
first
good.
edition feel to the leveling, which I like.
Right.
You play a game, you're level 2. You play 2 games, you're level 3. You play 3
What,
games, you're
what
level
about
4.
what about Endless Worlds? Give us some secrets about the leveling up system there.
Well, we don't have a living system yet.
Well, your plans for it. Give us a little clue. Is there?
I actually haven't worked on it, to be honest. We really
Oh.
haven't. We're trying to perfect because we've got other stuff we want to do with it besides.
And you could feel free to take a look at my 2-page document, and it might solve a lot of your problems right there. You want to?
Yeah, it might. You know what
You
I'm
want
talking
down
about.
dirty and simple.
Yeah, because you know as well as I do, that's a trap right there, man.
Yep,
That's
and
what
I'll tell you from having administered the living campaigns for Wizards of the Coast,
I
it
feel
was
for you.
different. It was booklets worth of stuff that you had to be on top of, and there's a whole ruling committee of guys with their own chat that you had to go to ask questions. And I knew the player base for Dungeon Crawl Classic wasn't going to have it.
Right.
And then having had experience with that, I really thought, hey, let's just flip it on its head. Let's make it as simple as possible, and then
Absolutely.
everyone will embrace it and they'll use it, or they won't, or they'll use some of it, or they'll use the experience. If all a GM does is use my experience guideline, because that's something that the modules don't really have as much, then I'm happy. I helped somebody do a thing, I helped save a GM 15 minutes of math.
That's right.
That's
Is
cool.
this kind of a point-to-point thing? Like, I wrote some game books back in the 80s, Heroes Challenge books, and there's some other stuff that never got published, yes, where you could potentially end up with an item or two. There was so much experience, and it's basically pick a path, but with a combat system, some healing as you go along different areas, and I don't know. I'm just trying to see, is it that simplified? Is it kind of like Trolls had what is it? TNT, Tunnels and Trolls.
Tunnels and Trolls.
They had a simple book system. I'm just trying to get a feel where you came up
Yeah,
with
there's so we kind of have it by the level of the module. Like the module that you play in Dungeon Crawl Classics, they basically go from like 1 to 6.
Okay.
And you get the experience based on the level of the adventure. Like a first level module to give you 25 experience.
If I'm a 6th level dude and I'm adventuring in a 3rd level thing,
you just wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't slum like that.
Okay.
You'd play
solo adventuring. Then suddenly it still would be a challenge rather than having lots of other people's.
This is more, the idea being you're playing with 3 to 5, 3 to 6 friends, and you have a party. And Dungeon Crawl Classics, it really goes like level 1 is the equivalent of like a level 1 to 4 character in probably Dungeons and Dragons, right? And so their level,
the XP. I'd say the basic XP system, not in this specifically, but also just says, hey, that thing. Sure, a mob of orcs is really dangerous at 1st level, but if you're 5th level, it's not so dangerous. And at that point, you're not going to get any experience points because it's not even, you're barely even breaking a sweat.
It's not a bad idea,
if you're slumming it in a lower level module, you're not even really supposed to get experience points.
Well, I mean, that's not
as
a
a
bad
GM,
idea. If you have one-on-one, though. If you want to, let's say you've got a judge and you've got one player who doesn't have a group to play with, and that legacy character is 5th level, they won't be able to handle a 5th level on their own. But to Ernie's point, they could go through a 3rd level maybe on their own.
I guess solo play is not something we've really addressed because we're building community, and you go to the Discord channel. I have my own private Discord channel that I use for Legacy for all my games, and probably got about 60 people on there now.
Well, and I think the
and
Discord
we try to get people on with Discord to find the game and line them up.
The Legacy has really picked up on the Discord. We are going to have to say goodbye from the Gygaxian Dragonlands banner. Chuck and I have another appointment. Sean Smith, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Joe Aberino, thank you so much for coming on. I'll let you guys get the spotlight with Stefan. And Stefan, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Let me tell you, I think our guest, I've got the guest list here. Let me just see.
And stay tuned because we have lots more to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned. In 2 weeks, we're going to have Edgar Johnson on. So that is going to be amazing. But yeah, they will be back in 2 minutes without us, and you'll get much more content. So stand by. We're going to be right back.
All right, we're back. We got rid of the riffraff. And now I get to talk to the real interesting people. All right, so Joe, you've been finally able to kind of live the dream a little bit of working in the RPG space, making just the buku dollars. But that
it's just been it's been great, like working with. There's such a huge talented pool of artists working for Goodman Games. It's just been a blast. to kind of see there's like basically a closed like call where all the artists get together and we kind of discuss like about once a month, and just it's kind of fun to get on and talk with people, talk shop, as we all sketch.
That does sound
You know,
fun.
yeah,
I think right before, or was it at the very beginning of this? You're saying you're doing your first full page piece.
yeah. I'm doing a full page piece for a Mutant Call Classics module that's coming out called Crash of the Titans, and it's based on one of the alternate covers, I believe, for MCC that Stefan
Okay.
Pogue did.
Cool.
So
I have that. It's somewhere on my shelf over
yeah,
there.
where it's
That
got
at least the
there's two
newest one.
Titans that are in that, so I got to
Yeah,
kind
a
of
lot of greens and yellows in that cover.
yeah, and so it's an interior art, so there's lots of blacks and whites.
No.
But it's just fun. Like um, I've been such a fan of this of Goodman Games for really since like the 3.0 days that like finally getting the chance to work here has been kind of little like it's kind of I don't know, it makes you become a
Just
fanboy where you're kind of like
yeah,
stuttering.
just a
What
little
am
bit of the meeting your
I?
heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
And then
Joe did
and
all
then
the.
discovering what's that?
Sorry, Joe. I was going to say you also did all the art for the legacy stuff when we were first developing it, and we designed a character sheet, and Joe
Yeah.
and I had a lot of long talks about trying to get more into the gaming sphere, and this we thought was a great way to do it. I'm so proud of Joe. I just want to say I'm so proud of him
Yeah,
and the
thanks,
work
man.
he's put in the last year or 2 years.
I do remember you did one thing of like some kind of it had bat wings coming up off the top of it. It was green and purple.
Yeah.
It's probably something you drew like 3 years ago now. I know that's a
Yeah, I
pretty
think
poor description, but
I emailed a copy of that to Matt, so I sent it to. I guess I don't know
okay.
if I don't know if we can pull that up if that's possible, but
Oh. I
yeah,
just remember that from ReaverCon because I ran at least one, maybe two games at that, and that was a bunch of fun.
Yeah, ReaverCon, we got great numbers, and everybody really
Mhm.
pulled together during COVID to push DCC and Legacy, and that was just an absolute blast and an honor to put together. And we raised some money for a good charity, and yeah, maybe we'll have to have a ReaverCon 2 soon, Joe.
I think so. I think so.
Well, I'm in. I'll
Yeah.
run some games if you do it for sure. Um, we'll get back into a little bit of our questions. We can get through them pretty quick, and then we can talk about X-Crawl and fun things like that. Because you've got a long history with X-Crawl, as we kind of briefly alluded to earlier. But our next question is, I think everyone kind of already knows the answer a little bit, but will we see an official website or character tracker for legacy PCs?
Well, I don't know if we'll be able to get a website together for Legacy unless it's something that Goodman Games wants to develop. But I would love to see something for X-Crawl when it finally launches because I do love that game. And the beginning of Legacy was actually conversations I was having with Brendan LaSalle, who created X-Crawl, about the idea of having a website that's almost like a fantasy football website, and you would have your teams, right? And then you click on the team, and this is something we had in the old days for the living campaigns, where you could put your character up and put down, here's the modules I played, and here's like the experience he has, and what level he is, and a little picture of him. So we thought, how cool if we could do like a fantasy baseball, fantasy football type page that a player could go in and create for themselves with their character, their pictures, the modules they played, maybe their teams, team scores from playing the adventures. So maybe that's something down the road that we'll see, like a really
That
cool X-Crawl legacy
that would be
website.
great. You got me thinking of those, the football manager video games and whatnot. I'm like, gosh, and I just off the side, I was like, is there like a Blood Bowl manager video game? I could see that. No, and that X-Crawl Goodman Games thinks to break in a little bit into video games and do something like that. That would be a
Could
really
could
fun
be
thing.
That'd be awesome.
could be a fun website to develop that kind of patterns itself after the fantasy football websites that exist for team play, and being able to put teams up from all over the world and sure we'll have a small pool of modules to play, but it could be fun, right? Fun to track.
Yeah.
And then going forward a little more is perhaps at the conventions you'll have special legacy events that you can only play at a convention, and that could be like a tournament where we can look and see how you rated on the website, and those teams get invited to participate
Man,
in a
that's
special X-Crawl adventure.
such a killer idea. I love that so much.
And then the trophies are sure to follow. Like who knows, belts could be
Yeah.
go whole hog, baby. Yeah. So we're anxiously awaiting Goodman Games to release X-Crawl as a Kickstarter, and then after that happens, we'll see. We've got a couple bullets in the chamber ready to go once that comes out. Joe and I have a zero level funnel called Traction Park that I've run at conventions for X-Crawl, based on Action Park in New Jersey, the most deadliest amusement park in the world.
That's great.
And then we have a level 1 adventure fully ready to roll called Massacre Scare Garden, and that's got some fantastic art. And Joe designed some really beautiful maps that we can put into Fantasy Ground that you'll get, and you can play the game online, or you can play it around the table as well. And also some fantastic artwork. That's got killer clowns, and it's got
Are they
great
terrestrial
ice
or are they
hockey.
from outer space?
They are terrestrial, and there are
Okay.
an ice hockey arena with a Zamboni machine and goblins and undead
Oh
hockey
man.
players. It's a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever been to Madison Square Garden, it's a tribute to my favorite arena in the world, and it's got a lot of history in there. So I think
That
I've
sounds
run that
amazing.
at conventions too. People dig it, and I think you'll dig it too.
I'm sure. Yeah, I've seen it listed on some of the online cons, but I haven't managed to make it in one of those. I was you know I had to become wise to X-Crawl a little bit. At the beginning, I was like, nah, that's not what I want. And then I just kept on hearing about it, and it was like a worm. I couldn't stop
I
thinking
mean,
about it, and
we
now
do have
I'm in love with
War
the.
of the I think we got War of the Cyclops Con coming up, and my plan is to do a Traction Park and then a Massacre Square Garden so people could play the funnel, take their little zero level character, level them up, and then get them into the Massacre Square Garden if they wish. Start their legacy journey early before the actual game comes out. But we'll
Sounds
see
like.
how it goes.
And are you going to give them that special allowance to get the full XP? Mm.
For Traction Park, if you survive, you're definitely level 1. Massacre Square Garden, we have a couple different versions that we run. There's a tournament version that's short. There is when we kickstarted, there's going to be bonus encounters that you can do as well, with some bonus treasure that you can get. But you'll only get that through the Kickstarter when we launch
Okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. If we have a couple different people, they play through the same module, they come to a session and they've both got the Vorpal hockey stick. Do they both get to bring the Vorpal hockey stick in, or
They both got
what's
the
the
Vorpal
judge to
hockey
say?
sticks. No, there's actually different flavors of some of the artifacts in our game. Based on your alignment, it does different things.
Oh,
Not that we have a Vorpal hockey stick, but there are some magic items that are alignment specific. And I tried to create the magic items that maybe had some flavor to it, so that they would be standalone and unique to your player. So your named item is your named item, and if I have something similar, that way we can both bring it to the table, and my flavor is a little different than yours, so we could both have the item.
cool. That is really awesome.
Because
I was
I
was
I
wondering
just
about
hate
that.
conflict. I hate conflict at the table. I don't want there to be roll a die and you get it and I don't, or I want to avoid all that. I want it to be fun, rule of cool. Way cooler for you to get to play with your item, and the other player can play with their item. And you've named
Good,
yours
good.
something different than his, and it looks a little different, and you both get to have fun, right?
Yeah,
I've
especially when
I've seen that question pop up online of just we both played through the same funnel, but we weren't in the same group, and we have the same magic item, and what do we do? So
Yeah, my answer is you both get to play with it and have fun.
yeah, add the flavor to make it your own characters. Once it and then integrate that with, once it's integrated into your character, it's kind of one of those things I always felt like it was hard to break apart. I think from some of the other living campaigns, it's like, oh, like Sean said with the roll off. Well, if that's your signature, weapon, all of a sudden now you can't use it. Great. So my character's built around this, Vorpal, hockey stick. Great. Now what do? Okay, here I've got a dagger. Okay,
And
I'm gonna have
just
I'm
just
gonna
that
have fun.
idea.
You know?
Yeah, just that idea leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I've seen strife at the table. I can remember the old days of living campaigns where there were certificates and you had to have the cert. And if somebody else had the cert, it could become a thing. Like I just don't want to deal with that. I don't think any judge wants to deal with that. So let's be
I was
adults.
like,
It's fun.
and
Let's
rule
play
number
and have
one's
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rule of cool,
Absolutely.
baby. Rule of cool. Keep it fun. That's Crom intended.
Exactly.
Is that what he intended? Well, we'll say so. Yeah, I think Crom, the benevolent Crom. Um, the Another question I've seen pop up online about this. It is our question officially listed as number 7. But we've skipped around, I think, a teeny bit. It's about level advancement and whether that, in a legacy situation, should level advancement be done by the player with the judge of the leveling module or the judge after? Or are they cool to do it in between?
We tend
Just
to do it. We
yeah.
tend to do it with the judge who leveled you. So if you've hit level 2 at the end of my module, I will, sit there after the game, and you can roll for your spells and roll for your hit points. Get it all together so that you're fresh to go with the next judge. So he doesn't inherit paperwork. He doesn't inherit time spent leveling you. To me, it should be the responsibility of the game master who got you there. Um, so that's kind of how I handle it. I don't have a hard and fast rule. No one's going to come over and slap your hand if you didn't
Yeah.
get it done for whatever reason. But that's how I would like to see it done. I think it makes the most sense because you've gone through the adventure with that GM. He's aware of where you're at. You're not an unknown quantity. I just played the game with you. I know that you're down to 4 luck, and I know that you've leveled and you're going to roll for your. That's usually what happens in my games. Their luck is like down to next to nothing. They're on fumes. Um, yeah, and you
And
roll
like
and
you
you
said, if the next one
take
has
care of me.
questions, the tracker has the prior judge's email. And I've
Yeah,
noticed not everyone's using those trackers, and they're just kind of going, "This is what it is." But
they're there. They're there if you want. It could be Discord. It could be email. It could
Mhm.
be we're pretty much on that legacy channel for Goodman Games for questions. I try to check in at least once a week just to see if there's anything there that I need to answer. Pretty much a one man crew at this point. There is no massive cabinet of 15, administrators handling it. It's pretty much me and GMs like you who dig the idea, and we're pushing,
Mhm.
the idea of it to make players' lives happy. And the legacy rules, I believe, work really well for those guys that are doing pickup games that don't have a solid group, but still want to play. So let's do our best to give everybody a good game. And the Discord, I think, is a fantastic tool for that, for finding games on a
Oh yeah,
weekly run.
just scheduling games using some bot on Discord is way easier than I remember trying to use the looking for games subreddit, and that never ever worked once for me.
Tough.
Uh,
It's tough, and now we're back to playing,
yeah.
face to face again. So I've got a local game store I go to that I run my DCC and MCC and X-Crawl games at. I host. I go to conventions. I love going to conventions and meeting players. I love hearing stories about their legacy characters, and they're usually pretty brutal, brutal stories. These poor guys, three armed halflings, and I got one. There's one guy I know who's got a centaur who got mutated
I
in
bet
a
that was a
module.
cursed heart of the world ender. I think that can happen in that adventure.
That's exactly where it happened, and he's He's a level 4 fighter now, charging with a lance and armor, and he's a badass
Sounds
Nice.
tank.
amazing.
Yeah, the only centaur I know in DCC, but he's out there. He's out there somewhere. Sir Ironhoof, shout out.
That's a great name too. And since there are weird edge cases that it's like you said earlier, 2-page rules, not meant to encapsulate weird edge cases. But any plans or ideas around tracking retainers, strongholds, anything like that? Because you do occasionally get those kind of bonus, given to you in the course of a module very occasionally.
Well, on the adventure sheets that come with the rules session, there is a section at the bottom for notes items gained, and you could put that in there, have it on your character sheet, and it'll note what the module is that you played or the convention you played it at. So that's probably the easiest way to track it.
Okay.
I don't know how. I mean, if you want to be super involved and have a small notebook full of your stronghold and how much it costs to clean the toilets and how much you spend on the bakers and the cleaning, like you absolutely welcome to do living accounting to your heart's content.
Yeah,
Me,
that's the
me,
DCC we know and love.
me personally,
Yeah.
I don't need it, and I'm sure a judge will just okay, cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
love-
follow your heart. That's how I feel. Like if follow your heart, if that's where your heart is, then you knock yourself out. You trick that stronghold out.
Yeah,
And
I
if
think
you just want to,
yeah, I
yeah,
was gonna
Joe.
say a lot of that stuff is outside of the game, like outside of the table at the convention. I know of a person. This is, I mean, it's a 5e thing, but their character owns a tavern, and but in game he'll just be like, oh well, here's my tavern, and he's got like different things printed out that he gives to other players at his table, but it's all kind of like something where he brings it to the table as it's part of the game, but it's not part of the module, if that makes sense. Right.
It's
Makes sense.
character
So
flavor, right? So
yeah,
sure, and again, your mileage may vary, right? In Dungeon Crawl Classics, you want to roll in and get through that dungeon, then let's do that. You want to kick around and talk about your psychedelic pony for 5 minutes, you knock yourself out.
All right, that needs to be written into is that a secret X crawl, reward at the you finish your crawl and you get the psychedelic pony?
There is a psychedelic pony wandering around on a Mutant Crawl Classic character somewhere.
yeah.
Oh.
Prismatic.
Oh, the prismatic
Oh yeah.
pony. That's even better. All right. Is there any changes, any updates that we might be able to expect from Legacy in 2023, or maybe you saving things for perhaps when Xcrawl happens and some
I
a
think the
few
next
tweaks for that.
update. Yeah, thanks for asking. I think so. Version 3.0 I'll submit after DCC number 100 comes out. The Music of the Spheres. I'm kind of waiting for that. It'll be a big pool module with a lot of stuff in it and a lot of experience to figure out. So I'm really looking forward to getting my greedy hands on that. And what I'll do is I'll do another pass through all the modules to see what I missed. I think I'm up to like 98 on the version that you would download. So the newer modules that have been out that I don't have on there, I'll try to add and get them in there. I'll try to update Mutant Crawl Classics. Maybe I'll do another pass through the Spellburn and Glowburn rules to make sure that they're very clear to everybody. I think they're pretty clear.
I think so.
And then we'll wait for Xcrawl to launch, and then we'll do another version, version 4.0 maybe when Xcrawl comes with. In a perfect world, we'll have like a nice website for Xcrawl, and we'll see what happens there. But I know that the Xcrawl is going to come out with they're going to have a nice plethora of modules for you to play. The rules are fantastic. The game is fantastic. I think people are going to just fall all over themselves on it. The other thing that I would like to do, excuse me, is address Dying Earth, Lankmar, and some of the spin-offs and just add them for experience point breakdowns for players, so that a judge can use it as a guide if they want. I think the experience point guide I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on from judges that are like, hey, this is great. I was going to sit there and try to figure out what to give my players. I turned the page and looked at your thing, and I was like, oh, okay, this is great. The Apocalypse art is a level 5 module. There he is. So here's the experience for level 5. And they just,
I've
they
definitely
love
appreciated.
that. Yeah, it's just, I'm happy to do the work for GMs there, because I know that could take up some time, and this way in the living campaign it's consistent. So you play the module, completed it. I played the module, completed it. We walked out the same experience.
And currently in there, it does say, hey, this doesn't support cross game system. You know, your DCC and your Dying Earth and your MCC, keep them separate for
Yep.
these legacy purposes.
So my thought is for the expansion, for the next round, is I'll just list them for the kind of self-contained. So here's Lankmore self-contained. Here's Dying Earth self-contained. So you wouldn't really cross over because the rule systems are so different. Dying Earth has some different components to it, like Animus. Lankmore has different components to it, such as no clerics.
Benisons, yeah.
There's a whole different rule system. So to me, when those rule systems are so different, it's hard to keep it all in one bush.
Would you?
I'm happy to do like a sheet that says here's all the Lankmore modules, here's the experience that I would suggest giving your
The
players.
one that stood out to me a little bit is DCC and MCC, because MCC has that bit in the back of the book that says bringing your DCC characters into Terra AD. The other ones I totally get, just because they are very different.
And I would say that's why I have MCC listed with the DCC experience, with the idea that you could cross over those two systems. And I've certainly run games where that has happened, where Mutant Pro Classic characters have spilled into DCC. DCC has spilled into Mutant Pro Classics modules. And with the legacy rules, I'm keeping that experience point, progression kind of similar, so that you can do it with my hope with ease. And with the rules for Spellburn and Glowburn, my hope is that you can do that with more ease as a GM, to make it painless for you. And if the player wants to do it, hey, let's have some fun.
Yeah. And I do see a question in the chat about saying, what about Purple Planet? Purple Planet's already in there. It's in
there,
DCC
baby.
stuff. It's a setting for DCC, but there's no rules changes. There's just
no, it's in there, right? It's
special kind of rune relic activation thing, but that's not really a change. That's just a new kind of weirdness.
For instance, we've got Synthetic Swordsman of the Purple Planet listed as 84.2 as a level 5 module. So you yourself got Sky Masses of the Purple Planet, level 6. So they're in there. Shutter Mountains is probably something I'd like to address a little more too. Maybe add Shutter Mountains to DCC and MCC. It's pretty similar. We love us some Shutter Mountains. That's super fun. If you guys haven't played it, check it out. Good stuff.
That was one of the legacy that I did.
Yeah.
Big long Shutter Mountains game.
Groovy, baby. And I think that Purple Planet, I embraced the Purple Planet. I love that stuff. I wanted to make sure that was included. But yeah, good question.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the legacy questions I had prepared, and we kind of got through them a little bit quick because I wanted to hear Joe talk a little bit more, or you talk a little bit more about X-Crawl, about art, because you guys have unique perspectives on all these things. I think we did hear a good bit about X-Crawl.
Yeah, maybe we could bring up some of the art that we have, and we can talk about it a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Elena, if you can bring up one of the pieces if there's one that hasn't been brought up yet, or whichever we think was the coolest of ones that we did show earlier.
Oh yeah, we could talk about the Develettes.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, Joe, you want to talk about?
Yeah, they're part of the attraction park. So these are 3 of the I guess it's part of one of the encounters, but got the I don't know, the devilish roller derby babes. And
they're an encounter.
Yeah. So they were pretty fun to do. Get a little bit, you get some different. It's one of the fun things about drawing these is all the different characters you get to create.
I really like your. I really like your Dispater. Yeah, I'd love to see Dispater, the Iron Duke. We can get a picture of him up.
Oh yeah.
He's badass.
He's cool. He's the leader of the.
There he is. Look at that.
Develettes. Yeah, I mean, it's just that he was basically. I'm trying to remember what we were because we were talking back and forth, like how it
first edition.
Yeah.
First edition monster manual. That's Dispater,
Oh
the Iron
yeah.
Duke of Hell from the first edition. So we did our X-Crawl spin on a classic first edition Duke of Hell, Dispater. So he's still got he's well known for his weird iron staff that he has that he rules with. And Joe pimped him out.
And the roller derby is his lair of the abyss.
The Derby girls are a team of X-Crawlers that are in competition against you that you have to throw down with at some point in the funnel out in
Man, that's
Traction
cool.
Park. And they've got
X-Crawl is perfect.
rollerblades. They got hockey sticks. Yeah, they got charge abilities. That's bad news.
Joe, do you have any like preference for, do you like doing the MCC stuff or the DCC stuff because or X-Crawl stuff just because you get to maybe draw weirder stuff in one or
I think right now I guess I don't really have I don't really have a favorite of those. It's just right now I'm like so excited to be doing it. It's like it's still at that level. But I mean I did there's an illustration kind of that's on the centerfold of Van on the Run. So that's got these like flying slime monsters. And but then also now I'm getting a chance to do if you can see that.
Yay.
So I mean, so you get to do crazy stuff in DCC and crazy stuff in Mutant Crawl Classics, and some of the stuff too that I've done is still being published. So like since I've
yeah.
I've got a couple pieces in the DCC 100. Some I've got a few pieces in Dying Earth, and then So I've got like a pretty creepy piece in the Valentine's Day module. In the I always forget the
Love
name.
Mutants of Castle Heartbreak.
Yes. I've got it's Olaf Thie in the Tub of Despair. So I got to do that. He's in this.
I got to
bathtub
play that
full-
one a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and the judge showed it to us, and that you drew a weird one for sure.
It's weird and creepy, and it's like I've got candles that are I don't know. So that one. So that one was influenced because of if anybody's seen, I think it's The Sword and the Sorcerer with like Richard Mall's the kind of the demon sorcerer guy,
Mhm.
and he rises up out of this crypt that's all of these talking faces, and it's just one of those like really 1980s.
Creepy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
dripping in slime, right? Red slime.
Yeah.
I think I watched that on Tubi a few months ago, or
I
something
remember
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Joe does great characters. On his website, you can there's some cool designs. One of my favorite designs of his, I can see behind his shoulder, the beholder with the cigar in his mouth. And then Joe did the design for ReaverCon. We had the T-shirts, the stickers, the mugs that
Mhm.
that we put out there. So he's got a great site.
And I got the list of what of the other images we have. I see something in the list called Death Slide, and I would
That's
love
from
for that to get put
Traction
up.
Park. You want to take a look at that?
Oh yeah.
I'd love to see
Traction
the
Park
hockey
stuff.
arena too. But yeah, let's take a look at the Death Slide real quick.
Oh my goodness!
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah,
So this
Alpine.
is based on the most dangerous ride, one of the most dangerous rides at Action Park in New Jersey, which was the Alpine Slide, where they would throw you through this tube that with a little piece of plastic the brake usually didn't work, and you would go through the concrete slide and get spit out at the other end, and you'd wipe out, and it was just concrete and grass and bushes, and you would rip. I have a scar on my knee from that. It was horrific. And you would see people at the park later, like bloodied and dripping blood or messed up or scarred on their face.
Gosh,
And you'd be like, Alpine Slide? You'd be like, yeah, Alpine Slide, missing a tooth.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So we have a
looks like
version
you
of
put
the
a
Alpine
Sarlacc
Slide.
monster in that tunnel.
We may have
Yeah.
tricked it out with some razor blades and some demonic stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, because
play the game.
that's the documentary
ticket,
on that thing
Buy
is
the
crazy.
ticket and get on the ride.
Yeah.
If you guys have the hockey arena, I'd love to show that. That's really
Sure.
interesting because we have these maps designed for the players. So the idea of this is that you'll be able to import it into Fantasy Ground or Roll D20 and size it up for your players to play on. So for Massacre Scare Garden, we've got several really cool maps designed. There's a 3-ring circus, right, Joe? There's a basketball court. There's a rock and roll finale with a band. It's almost like Iron Maiden or
Yeah.
Black Sabbath on stage, and a horde of zombies that you have to get through. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's the
I think
horde of
I
zombies.
I did them as 2D maps too, so that they're not just isometric, as if I remember
Yeah, so
correctly.
you can print them up and drop them on your table at home, which is what I do. If you're running it online,
Yeah.
you can import the art with, and we're gonna have little tokens for the figures as well. So it'll be a full complete kit that you'll be able to get to play at home with your friends online, or you can print them out and drop them on the table. Instant miniatures, instant battle maps. So I thought that'd be fun, a little fun extra, something that you don't quite get in other modules. But
That
it's
sounds
something we used to
really
do
awesome.
in the we used to do in the Living Greyhawk days. You have the module, and then there'd be a map section, and you could get my maps, print them out, and lay them on the table, and have a cool little presentation instead of something neat for the GM who didn't want to draw a map out.
No, I've got those. I've got a lot of Dark Sun box sets up on my shelf.
Oh yeah,
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and the World of Greyhawk and a couple others. But yeah, I love those old huge maps. They're so cool, and you just
who
don't get
doesn't
them
love a
anywhere anymore.
cool map, right? Who doesn't love a cool map of a setting or world? I agree. I think it's a nice little bonus.
Absolutely.
Get
Well,
it up on your wall.
Yeah.
at this point, I'm like, I can't take it out of the box. It's already kind of damaged. I need it to stay as not mint as it already is.
Yeah,
Or
we'll
at
be
least that's
running
my mindset.
legacy. We'll be running legacy games at Gen Con coming up as well. I'll probably be doing more X Crawl there as well. I ran Traction Park last year, and it was great to play test it. It's
Mhm.
every time I've run it, I've streamlined it. I feel very proud of it now. It's been probably about 2 years of play testing. It's ready to go.
Wow.
And I'm in the process of Massacre Square Garden. We're almost done with play tests on that. I feel pretty confident with that adventure as well. Part 3 is Big Trouble in Little Italy, which is super fun. It's more of like a role play X Crawl mini adventure, like a palate cleanser between level 1 and level 2. And then part 4, I guess, is Big in Japan, where the X Crawl players go to Japan and have adventures.
Man, that sounds perfect. You're gonna have one heck of a Kickstarter or whatever you do whenever you're ready to unveil it to the world.
Yeah, Joe and I are locked and
Everything
loaded.
crossed, right?
Yeah.
Joe and I are locked and loaded. We're ready to go. Yeah, we'll see what happens with it all. We're excited to share our love of X Crawl, and I'm excited to share Joe's crazy art with the fan base, and happy to keep running them at conventions. And we're available on the Legacy channel on Discord for Goodman Games with any questions people have. And if they're looking for a game, they can ping me, and I run games on my private Legacy server.
Yep, he's King Mob, so you can find him on the Goodman Games Discord and just, I don't know, get the invite there. But yeah, and that's about it for our time, and I think that's kind of a great outro. But is there anything else you'd like to say, Sean or Joe?
I just want to say thanks, and I know I don't know, you guys, everybody was probably following the Dungeon Denizens. I think they have the countdown the countdown
It's
to
tonight.
this tonight. So I don't have any pieces in it, but I'm looking forward to getting my copy so I can like flip through it and look at all the crazy monsters that they're doing. So
Me too. Yeah,
it's gonna be
tune into
awesome.
that.
Awesome stuff.
I'm very excited about that. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe there's those 20 backer slots where backers are gonna get to create monsters. Maybe they'll tag you in to illustrate one of
maybe yeah.
those. Who
I'm
knows?
willing to do whatever. So
Yeah.
Prismatic Pony.
Yeah, right.
Psychedelic Pony. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Thanks for having us. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
To share my love of Dungeon Crawl Classics and Goodman Games design, and to be a small part of it. It's been an absolute blessing. And the
It has
players are
been.
some of the
Yeah.
best in the world. I think the fan base is fantastic.
Yeah, the community is better than anything else I've found. Well, that'll wrap us up for today. Do tune into Dungeon Denizens, the kind of the countdown show tonight. Back it if you haven't already, but if you're watching, you probably already have because we only have cool viewers. And then be back in 2 weeks. We'll be talking to Edgar Johnson, DCC writer, most recently of Bloom in the Blood Garden, which Grape Ape ran, and I got to be a player in, and it is a heck of an adventure. It is such a good funnel. So, and I'm sure we're going to talk to him about that, along with the usual rules questions. So, but until then, thank everyone for tuning in. Y'all have a good time.
Thanks, everyone.